Vaccine distribution falling short of expectations. Why the distribution has been anything but warp speed. And a New Year's Eve tradition sparking concerns after a violent weekend in Flint. Residents in the vehicle city describe how they literally dodged bullets. It's time to wake up, Mid-Michigan. It's Sunday, January 3rd.
With coverage you can count on, this is WNEMTV5 News.
Well, good morning to all of you. Happy Sunday. Thanks so much for waking up and hanging out with us this Sunday morning. I'm Blake Keller. Those stories coming up in just a bit, but we are joined by meteorologist Chris Eastlick. Sometimes it doesn't get out quite right.
It's a hard word to say, but everything looks a little bit better in most areas this morning. There is one section of the TV5 viewing area that is a little bit in rough shape this morning. It looks like that's off to the south along I-69. We've seen some snow move back in there and also starting to see some traffic slowdowns coming along with that snow. That snow not expected to add up to all that much as far as accumulations go, but the temperature is right around the freezing mark or a little bit below, and that will allow it to, of course, stick to the road. So allow yourself some traffic time as you go off to the south, especially towards the Detroit area as well. Starting to see some slowdowns there. This system should move out pretty quickly. It's not going to be around long. I would say through the morning and very early afternoon. After that, it should start pulling away from us, may even end as a little bit of drizzle in spots. And again, it shouldn't add up to all that much. But we're seeing your traffic map lit up in yellow and red once again this morning. That's mainly in areas off to our south, but still some yellow and red popping up around the Flint area too, even extending eastward into parts of Lapeer County. So the bottom line, as is usually the case, just be smart out on the roads when the snow falls. We've got temperatures in the 20s and 30s, most areas below freezing. Port Hope and Flint just a touch above at 33. Wind chills also not a huge difference between those and our actual temperatures this morning, thanks to a lighter wind. That wind largely coming out of the east-northeast, about 5 to 10 miles per hour at the most. In plenty of areas, not even seeing a whole lot of wind as we begin your Sunday. Your visibility values in Mount Pleasant and Alma, more reflective of a little bit of fog that's developed there. Along I-69, that's probably more so because of the snow, so a bit variable in that department too. Hour by hour through the next 12, we should be right around the low to mid-30s again this afternoon, and snow will taper off into the next couple of hours. We'll take a look at what's ahead the rest of this week. That's all coming up.
Chris, thank you for that. The latest tally of COVID vaccinations sits at 3 million doses administered, nowhere near the 20 million vaccination goal set by Operation Warp Speed for the end of 2020. This as U.S. infections have soared past a new milestone, now topping 20 million. Tom Hansen has the latest.
With 2020 behind us, hopes placed in vaccines are already plagued by confusion and long lines. Vaccine distribution has been anything but warp speed in several states. In Jacksonville, Joan Tischer camped at her car overnight to make sure she was one of 600 people to get the first shot.
It's better than a night in the ICU.
Elsewhere in Florida, cars stretched as far as 3 miles. In Cleveland, Tennessee, where the positivity rate is 27%, many were turned away after doses ran out. So far, just 12.5 million doses have been distributed, and less than 3 million have actually been administered, not even close to the 20 million vaccinations pledged by the end of the year.
To me, it's a crying shame, and it's very upsetting because there are lives that can and should be saved, but we're not doing it.
Healthcare systems nationwide, already on the brink, brace for another surge as millions of Americans ignore warnings to stay home for the holidays. Georgia and North Carolina are relying on field hospitals to handle patient overflow, and a more infectious COVID-19 variant is now confirmed in at least 3 states, including Colorado, Florida, and hard-hit California. The state set a grim record on New Year's Day, surpassing 585 deaths in 24 hours.
We don't know what else to do. We're breaking.
In Los Angeles, relief can't come soon enough for frontline workers like Latoya Senior.
Things are pretty bad. Things are really bad. We're overwhelmed. We're stressed. We're stretched so thin. It's pretty unimaginable.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says the goal is to vaccinate 1 million people by the end of January. The city has received 360,000 doses. They've administered about 98,000. Vaccine hubs are going to be launched to help speed up distribution. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
Michigan reporting nearly 9,000 new coronavirus cases Saturday, an average of nearly 3,000 new cases each day since Wednesday. with an additional 265 deaths. That brings the state's overall totals to more than 497,000 cases with 12,598 deaths. Students at Central Michigan University can expect to head back into the spring semester online. The first week of classes will be entirely remote. Then we'll shift to in-person or hybrid courses beginning the week of January 18th. The university also eliminated their week-long spring break, adding 5 wellness days of no classes over the course of the semester. The university says the move is intended to reduce widespread travel and risk of exposure while providing time away from normal class. In developing this morning, 3 people are dead after a plane crashed into a home in Oakland County. The plane went down and struck a home on Russet Lane in Lyon Township. The Oakland County Sheriff says the 3 killed are believed to be the pilot and 2 passengers. When police and fire crews arrived on scene, the home was fully engulfed in flames. Now, the type of plane is not yet identified. The Federal Aviation Administration has been contacted and will investigate that crash. TV5 News Time right now is 8:06. Good Sunday morning to all of you. Still ahead, though, in our next half hour, a group of Republican senators challenging the 2020 election results. Why they're choosing to speak out now. And coming up next in a TV5 follow-up, after a Bay City couple lost their house in a fire, help and joy is coming from across county lines. Find out how. More local news. It's been 1 week since a Bay City couple lost their entire home to a fire. And after their story hit our airwaves, plenty of mid-Michiganders have reached out to us offering to help. Bob Hembling saw our story last weekend, and like the Wenzels, he himself has 10 grandchildren. Knowing their gifts all went up in the flames, he brought stuffed animals, toy cars and trucks, and a University of Michigan Collector's Edition train set all the way from Reese.
And well, you can see by the smile, my heart is full. Yeah, this is an experience I'll never forget.
And I lost it all, and then a friend of ours come over to my son's house and brought gifts for the kids, and that broke my heart because I didn't have nothing for them.
That says a lot. It says a lot about the person and a lot about the community.
Yes, amazing. I'm blessed. We are blessed.
Now, the Wenzels want to express their gratitude to others in the community who've either stopped by, showing concern, donating time, money, clothes, and food. If you'd like to help out in any way, we still have their GoFundMe page on our website, WNEM.com. And the Glory Ministry hosted a can and bottle drive to help fund their mission work, helping kids in Uganda with food, clothing, shelter, medical, and educational needs. The ministry has been visiting Eastern Africa for several years with plans to return in February. With COVID-19, it has made for tougher times for these kids, and the Glory Ministry is encouraging local businesses to join their efforts and consider donating bottles and cans to help kids in need.
We've got about 18 kids that we're trying to put through school and pay their school fees. It's not like here in the States, you pay your taxes and the kids go to school. Over there, you got to pay it up front or half up.
The ministry will also be accepting donations at the Lowe's in Midland on January 9th, 16th, and the 23rd. All right, TV5 News Time right now is 8:11. Bitcoin hit record values in 2020. What this means for those who are investing in this currency. All right, taking a live look over Bay City this morning. A nice view, definitely snow-filled. After an eventful Saturday morning, a little bit of a break. So coming up, we're taking a look at your weather forecast.
With coverage you can count on, this is WNEMTV5 News.
Good morning and happy Sunday to all of you. We are taking a live look right now over downtown Saginaw. Looking pretty white, I should say. There's the right word. It's a slow morning. I need more coffee here on this Sunday. Hopefully you've been enjoying your weekend so far. Today is January 3rd. I'm Blake Keller. Let's cut right over to meteorologist Chris Eastlick. Took a break from the snow yesterday. Chris, how's it today?
I think most areas will be fine. It looks like we still have some cleanup to do along I-69. Already seeing snow return to that area this morning. If you're traveling south of 69, I would imagine you're probably going to run into a little bit of that as well. But that snow not expected to get too much farther north from there. We are seeing that on radar around Saginaw, but at least based on our city camera, it didn't really look like we're seeing a whole lot reach the ground just yet. And many of the ground observation sites have confirmed that as well. It's really struggling to get much north of there. Still reporting just cloudy skies in parts of Tuscola County as well. It might be making a little bit of progress here and there in those counties, but the better chances of snow still reside off to the south. This system not terribly organized. It certainly isn't as organized as the system that moved through earlier this week, so I don't think it will add up to all that much as far as how much snow we're going to see, but it is causing problems out on the roads, especially the farther south you go towards Detroit. Now, I will say this map looks a little bit better than it did earlier, but still several areas of yellow and red popping up, so just take it easy. Common sense driving rules during the wintertime. We've got 20s to the north, 30s to the south, just about everyone below the freezing mark. Flint and Port Hope a touch above. Thankfully, wind chill's not overly strong, too. Just a minimum change this morning. Winds also pretty light, generally coming out of the east-northeast about 5 to 10, and I don't expect them to get much stronger than that going through today. Your visibility values between around a mile or two in some spots, even Flint and Alma a little bit below that. I think Alma, that could be more attributed to probably some fog rather than snow, but still, we'll keep an eye on that as the morning progresses here. Just, again, be careful. The hour-by-hour forecast through the next 12 shows snow eventually tapers off after lunchtime, and then we're dry the rest of the day. We'll take a look at what's ahead the rest of this week coming up.
Chris, thank you for that. Well, 3 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine has now been administered, falling short of the 20 million vaccination goal set by Operation Warp Speed for the end of 2020. Meantime, healthcare systems nationwide brace for another surge as millions of Americans ignore warnings to stay home for the holidays. That's as a more infectious COVID-19 variant has been found in 3 U.S. states, in Colorado, Florida, and California. And former longtime CNN host Larry King has been hospitalized with COVID-19. A source close to the family says he's been at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles for more than a week. King has had multiple heart attacks and underwent quintuple bypass surgery back in 1987. And he's also 87 years old, meaning he's at a higher risk for complications from COVID-19. He hosted Larry King Live for more than 25 years. We wish him a speedy recovery. Meantime, Virginia State Senator Augustus Benton Chaffin Jr. died Friday from COVID-19 complications. Chaffin first served in the Virginia House of Delegates in 2013 and was elected to the state Senate a year later, winning nearly 60% of that vote. The family, at his request, asked that instead of flowers and other acts of kindness, to make donations to local food banks in his memory. Chaffin is survived by 3 adult children. Well, a group of Republican senators, including Texas Senator Ted Cruz and 4 senators-elect, now plan to object to Joe Biden's Electoral College win, demanding an audit of the 2020 presidential election results. Tom Hansen has the latest.
11 of President Trump's Senate Republican allies announced a last-ditch effort to challenge President-elect Joe Biden's election victory. In a joint statement Saturday, the senators, including Ted Cruz of Texas and Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, acknowledged their efforts have almost no chance of changing the outcome. They wrote, "We are not naive. We fully expect most, if not all, Democrats and perhaps more than a few Republicans to vote otherwise. But support of election integrity should not be a partisan issue."
This audit will answer the questions as to what happened in some of the disputed states. Of course, Pennsylvania, there are so many questions around Pennsylvania.
Amy Klobuchar, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Rules Committee with jurisdiction over federal elections, said in a statement, Joe Biden will be inaugurated on January 20th, and no publicity stunt will change that. Earlier this week, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley sided with a group of House conservatives who want to prompt a debate and put the results up for vote.
This is the only opportunity that I have to be heard and to speak up on behalf of my constituents.
Congress convenes Wednesday to certify the electoral vote, normally a formality. President Trump tweeted Saturday, an attempt to steal a landslide win. Can't let it happen. President Trump's unsubstantiated claims of fraud leave some Republicans under pressure to question the results. Vice President Mike Pence will preside over the counting of the votes. He and the Justice Department asked a Texas federal judge to throw out a long-shot lawsuit aimed at empowering him to overturn the results. Late Friday, the judge dismissed that case. Tom Hansen, CBS News.
And a federal appeals court on Saturday also dismissed the lawsuit by Representative Louis Gohmert of Texas and other Republicans who wanted to broaden Vice President Pence's authority over the election results. That's ahead of Wednesday's certification ceremony. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's house was vandalized with graffiti. It read, "Where's my money?" on the front door. The graffiti is presumably a reference to McConnell blocking the delivery of a $2,000 stimulus check to qualifying Americans. McConnell released a statement saying, quote, "Vandalism and the politics of fear have no place in our society." Vandalism also reaching the other side of the aisle. In California, vandals left a severed pig head in a pool of red paint at the front of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's garage. Graffiti was also spray painted that read $2,000 and "cancel rent." Pelosi is currently in Washington, D.C. and was not home at the time. So far, no one has claimed responsibility. And happening today, a swearing-in ceremony for the new Congress, including Senator Gary Peters, as he begins his second term. Peters is set to be sworn in around noon on the Senate floor. All right, TV5 News time right now is 8:36. Coming up, a Detroit nurse is starting the new year on a high note, a note she'll now get to hear. How new technology in Michigan helped her regain her hearing. Across Michigan, a Metro Detroit nurse starting the new year trying to regain her hearing in one ear. As April Morton reports, she suffered from single-sided deafness for 50 years caused by disease.
2020 was no doubt a challenging year, and most were happy to see it go. But for 62-year-old Angela Holland, she ended the year on a high note and was able to do something she hadn't been able to for 50 years.
I finally had hearing again in my left ear that I lost when I was 12.
For the past 50 years, Angela, a nurse with Health Alliance Plan, has suffered from single-sided deafness caused by a disease known as cholesteatoma. During a recent doctor visit, she was asked a question that would change her life.
Asked me if I'd ever thought about correcting my hearing, and I had never been aware that was a possibility.
Thanks to new hearing technology, that was a possibility. And in early October, Angela was the first person to receive the implant at Herringford Hospital in Detroit.
It's called a piezoelectric device, which means that the layers of the device expand and contract to send the vibrations through the bones of the skull into the inner ear.
Dr. Christian Angster and her team performed the surgery and says the new device, which goes underneath the skin, is more comfortable and discreet for the patient. Angela says right after the surgery, her hearing was no longer muffled. She was able to hear things clearly that most of us take for granted, like the sound of traffic and the sound of a slamming car door.
That's the hard part for me. I didn't know that there were things I couldn't hear.
Now this new technology has restored a world of sounds Angela hasn't heard in over 50 years, like the vows from her new husband and the ringing of a new year.
You really don't know what you're not hearing until this happens.
Well, that was April Morton reporting. So excited for her moving forward. All right, happy Sunday morning to you. TV5 News time is 8:40. New dietary guidelines for infants and toddlers. What parents should be adding to their baby's diet soon after birth. And you are taking a live look over Bay City this morning. Calm and quiet so far. We'll have a check on your weather forecast coming up shortly. Well, one of Facebook's earliest successes, Farmville, is no more. The popular game from more than 10 years ago let users tend to digital fields and harvest fake vegetables. Now, the game shut down for good due to outdated software. Adobe decided to kill the software Flash after it declined in popularity because it was difficult to run on cell phones. So I know we were talking earlier, Chris, about Farmville and the great old what was it? Video, our game request to get you to play? Is that what happened?
Yeah, they would be constant. You would tell someone, hey, I'm not interested in playing, and then they would just keep sending you invites. So I'm not sad to see Farmville go.
Me either.
I mean, if you had fun with it, great.
Yeah, of course.
I just didn't want to play.
I was going to say, I don't have a green thumb or a digital green thumb, so that was good for me.
You might have had to stick to virtual.
Right.
Yeah. All right, your 7-day forecast. It looks like we have a chance of snow south and east early this morning. That should taper off over the next couple of hours, and by the afternoon, we should be in mostly good shape. Monday through Friday of next week looks mainly dry.